Hi, this teachlet is on TPCASTT. The essential question, how can you analyze a poem with ease? What is TPCASTT? TPCASTT is an acronym. It represents 7 different things that you can do with a poem to help you better understand the poem that you read. The first T is your title. The P is paraphrase. The C is connotations. A is attitude. S is shift. T is title again. And the last T is theme. During this teachlet, I will go through each of these and explain what they mean and how you might use them on a poem. This is a College Board strategy for pre-AP, AP classes to help you better grasp the understanding of poems. So let's see how it works. We'll start with the first T. The first T is the title. What we do on the first T is we're going to analyze the title. We're going to predict what we think the poem might be about based just on the title alone, and then we would write our prediction down. We're going to use the poem I Too Sing America by Langston Hughes. So I might write something along these lines the first time I see the title. I predict this poem might be about someone who feels that he wants to be included with his friends. Again, you're basing your prediction just on the title alone. The nice thing about predictions is they're made to be wrong. That's the point of a prediction, to see if we can be right or wrong about something. So make your prediction. As long as it fits the title, you're good to go. The next step is reading the poem. So now let's read this poem. It says, I Too Sing America by Langston Hughes. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. But I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow I'll be at the table. When company comes, nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen, then. Besides, they'll say how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I, too, am America. The next step is to paraphrase. Paraphrase means putting something in your own words. So after you've read the poem through 2 times is a good number to read a poem. The first time is usually to kind of get an idea of what you're reading. The second time is to read it better with fluency and to get a deeper meaning of the poem. Write what you think the poem's about. If you're unable to come up with your own words about what the poem's about, that might be a good indication that you did not understand the poem. So you may need to read it again. And one of the things that you might do as you read the poem again is see what is it that's confusing you about the poem. Or is it the words? Is it the way the words are written? Try reading a poem out loud. A lot of times poems are meant to be read aloud. So if you read the poem to where you can hear it out loud, sometimes that will help you. If not, see if there's words that you need to look up. But if you do have an understanding of the poem, then write the poem, what the poem was about, in your own words. Here's what I wrote as my paraphrase. The poem is about the man who, because of his skin color, is not allowed to eat at the table and has to go to the kitchen when company comes over. He does not seem to really mind because he still eats well. He feels though things will one day change and he will be able to sit at the table and nobody will be able to deny him that right. He believes one day people will see him for him and not his color and treat him with equality and be embarrassed by the way they treated him before. So again, on the paraphrasing, you're putting the poem in your own words to show that you understood what the poem was about. C is for connotation. Connotation is the way we feel about certain words. So it's not necessarily what the word means, but the way we feel. Do we get a positive feel about the word? Does it make us feel bad? Does it make us feel great? What feelings do we get based on this word? Is this a positive or a negative word? So things to look at. Analyze the figures of speech and sound effects of the poem. What might the poem mean beyond the literal level? What emotional feelings do the words give the reader? So let's look at some examples of what I've found in this poem. In the second stanza, the kitchen symbolizes not being worthy to the owner, while to the speaker it symbolizes a place to be well fed. So when we go back and look at the poem, the kitchen is the place where the speaker has to go when company comes over. And the owner feels that that's a place to go to because you're not worthy enough, you're not good enough, you're not the right skin color to be able to continue to sit at the table. While the speaker sees it as just a place to be well fed, he doesn't seem to let that get him down just because the owner makes him go somewhere different to eat. He doesn't let that get in the way of his self-worth. So to him, the speaker still just symbolizes a place to be well fed. In the third stanza, tomorrow symbolizes the future where there is hope for a change. And then also in the third stanza, the table symbolizes belonging to a group, being welcomed, no longer being unworthy of being able to come to a group. A means attitude. Describe the tone of the poem. Think about what the speaker's attitude is towards the subject of the poem and list examples that illustrate that tone. So what was the overall tone of this poem? What was the speaker's attitude? What was the speaker's tone towards the subject he or she was writing about? Here is what I came up with. The overall tone of the poem is that of hope and optimism. The speaker does not seem to mind going to the kitchen because he knows who he is, and he has hope this is only temporary, and one day the people who forced him to eat away from the table will realize their foolishness and be ashamed for the way they treated him. Examples to show this of the tone is the line that says, "But I laugh and eat well and grow strong," and this was when he was forced to go into the kitchen and how he responded to having to go to the kitchen. And another example was at the end of the poem when it says, "and be ashamed," referring to the people who had forced him to once go to the kitchen, and him saying that one day they're going to be ashamed for what they did. S represents shift. Is there a change in the speaker, tone, mood, or setting of the poem? If there is, it usually is going to affect the meaning of the poem. Where does this shift happen? And what does it shift from and to? So in this poem, what you want to look at is if there is a shift. Does something change somewhere in the poem? So we're going to look for a change maybe in the speaker, the attitude of the poem, the way the poem may make us feel, or the setting of the poem. And from there, we're going to see where does the shift happen and how does that change the overall meaning of the poem. Some poems you may not see a shift, so just look real close and see if there is one. I did find one in I Too Sing America. The shift I saw was for the speaker from being in the present to thinking about the future and how things will be better and different in the future. He will no longer be mistreated because of the color of his skin. The shift happens between stanzas 2 and stanza 3. And I think it kind of changes the overall meaning of the poem in that in the beginning, in that first 2 stanzas, he kind of shrugs off the fact that he's being mistreated. And then we see in stanza 3 that he has hope for that change, and that deep down, it did bother him that people secluded him, that because of the color of his skin that he was mistreated and sent off away from the table. Then we go back to the title. We want to look at the title again and ask ourselves, has our ideas about the poem changed? And what do we think the title means now? This is where you're correcting your prediction. So for me, I said my ideas about the poem have changed. I realized I Too Sing About America is more about equality among races than just fitting in with a group. That just because the speaker is not white does not make him less of an American than the white man. The speaker believes he's just as much American as anyone else. So for me, it really did change because I originally predicted that it was just about someone wanting to fit in with their friends. And now I realize it's not about just fitting in. It's about being treated equal. It's about not being judged based on your color of your skin and not being mistreated because of that and not having those same opportunities. And then finally, the last T is theme. What is the theme of the poem? What insight, understanding, or truth are we supposed to gain after reading this poem? So one of the themes that I came up with for this poem, I Too Sing America, was that this poem is about that you shouldn't let others define you by the way they treat you. That you should know who you are and you should have self-worth because you believe in yourself and you don't base your self-worth on what others think. I hope this helps you understand how to maybe analyze and understand a poem more. And again, this strategy is called TPCASTT. Thank you. Bye-bye.